0022. Protect the creatives. Looking for $6,990.20. And Kassandra, could we please start with you with your comments and your preliminary score, please?
This is Cassandra. My preliminary score is 99. This is a fascinating and unique event. I don't feel as if I really have heard of anything else like this. Um, it is clear that they have a well-researched who for their target audience. And I appreciate that you have identified a great need and are seeking to fulfill that. Um, the timeline is very helpful for understanding this event. I wasn't quite sure how all of this was gonna play out during a 5K. Um, it's a very ambitious, honestly, it sounds very complicated, but it does seem as if, the applicant has experience or at least has the people to rely on, to be able to execute something of this nature. It marries a lot of different goals, fitness, safety, and uplifting creatives that I was appreciative of. Thank you.
Thank you, Cassandra. This is Nettie. Annie, could we please have your comments and your preliminary score?
And I got to see what I scored this. This is Annie. I gave it a 93. Similar to my co-panelists, I've never seen anything like this. So they demonstrate a need, more than most, because they're not vague about who this is for. They name Nevada-based songwriters and independent artists who don't have access to industry infrastructure. And the whole design of the event lines up with that gap. Conference, expo, performance, networking is not abstract. You can see the problem and the response side by side. So what they don't do as strongly is prove the scale of the need. So there's not much data or numbers or external context to show how big the gap is. It's clearly understood, but more implied than evidence. So it structurally, the strongest part is that the program matches the need. And it isn't, we say artists need support. It's here are the exact mechanisms, paid opportunities, exposure, networking, education, and that alignment's like really tight. But what like brings it back a little bit is they show how they're addressing the need, but not as clearly about where it works beyond participation and visibility. So the budget is prioritized correctly. It shows awareness. It shows awareness of what it takes to run something like this. So it could be more granular. It leans on narrative instead of a clear breakdown. They've made a convincing case. And I think it's cool. So there you go. Thanks for, there you go.
Thank you, Annie. This is Nettie. Rebecca, could we please have your comments and your preliminary score?
This is Rebecca. My preliminary score for this application is 81. And I think I also echo a lot of the comments that have come from my other panelists. Words that are jumping off the page in my review of this application was innovation, creativity, engaging, exciting. I think that this is a really unique project, and a lot of my comments in terms of where I tended to see some gaps was just kind of articulating how this was all going to come together. So it was more of issues with timeline, I think. Also, one detail that struck me, and I wish that the applicant would have articulated this, is that it seems that the expo and the sort of learning sessions were all about connecting creators to each other, also to representation and these kinds of things, which I wanted to know how, and then I had on this other side the audience for a 5K, and I think that there could be some crossover there, but also seemed like they were almost proposing an event that was going to have like multiple audiences, and I wanted to have this sense of cohesion in terms of how was this going to fall under this big umbrella of one event. So I suppose just more detail around kind of the cohesion between everything that's happening in this application would have provided me with a lot more clarity. But the strengths in this application were many. I think that this is just an ambitious and engaging event. It's multifaceted, and I think it also articulates a very robust approach for artist selection that use metrics from online platforms and also feedback from the community, which I think was especially wonderful because there's that engagement again. So again, very strong application.
Thank you, Rebecca. And Casey, could we please have your comments and preliminary score?
Yes, this is Casey. The project is complex in scope and it still relies on several projected elements, including artist confirmation and sponsorships, which introduces some uncertainty for me. But overall, this is like a really creative and forward-thinking proposal with a strong potential and room for refinement. So thank you guys for your time. And my score was 86.
Thank you very much. This is Nettie. Any further discussion? All right then. Alena, could we please make our way toward the final score?
This is Alena. The scores for application PGO27-0022 protect the creatives. Starting with panelist Casey, could you please reconfirm your score?
Yes, this is Casey reconfirming the score of 86.
Thank you so much, Casey. This is Alena. Could I please have panelist Rebecca please reconfirm your score?
This is Rebecca. My score is 81.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. This is Alena. Could I please have Annie reconfirm your score?
This is Annie, and I gave it a 93.
Thank you so much, Annie. Again, this is Alena, and could I please have Kassandra reconfirm your score?
This is Kassandra. My score is 99.
Thank you so much. Again, this is Alena reconfirming the scores for PGO27-0022 Protect the Creatives, with Kassandra at a score of 99, Casey at a score of 86, Rebecca at a score of 81, Annie with a score of 93, giving an average score of 89.8. And again, this is